The best way to watch anime in the comfort of your own home on all your devices is with Crunchyroll Premium, where you can watch new stuff and also old stuff as well. Shows you grew up with, every single episode of stuff like Naruto, Bleach, it's all on Crunchyroll Premium. Try it right now at crunchyroll.com/geekdom or click the link in the description. So let's talk about one of the most popular characters in Dragon Ball, and that is, of course, Vegito. And what I want to do with this video is I want to discuss how strong is base Vegito. Now, we're going to be referencing two different things here for this video. Firstly, we're going to be discussing base Vegito in Dragon Ball Z. He was not in the manga when he fought Majin Buu. He appeared for a second, but in the manga, he went Super Saiyan right away. However, in the anime, there's a whole filler fight in Dragon Ball Z episode 269 where he fights Buhan. So we'll be talking about that. And then also, we're going to talk a little bit about a hypothetical, how strong would base Vegito be if it was base Vegito post Tournament of Power. So we're going to be discussing kind of theories on where he would scale post TOP. You know, Goku and Vegeta, after all the power they got in the TOP, how strong would that base Vegito be? So joining me on this video, please welcome, he is a member of the Ultra Instinct group in my membership club. So click join down below if you want to be a part of it. And maybe you can be on a video with me. Please welcome Rebel Storm. Bro, what's up?
Hey man, thanks for having me on. It's great to be here and talk about my favorite character in all of Dragon Ball and discuss how powerful he really is in his base form.
Right. We've done a video. I did a video about the strongest in Dragon Ball Vegito and a while back, and I went into like Vegito Blue and Vegito from DBZ. But I want to talk, like I said, about firstly base Vegito in the fight with Buhan. Now, one thing we have to really discuss when it comes to base Vegito is that in the fight with Buhan, at no point in that fight, of course, it's anime only. Like I said, DBZ 269 is the episode if you want to go reference it. At no point is this dude even remotely, like, worried. There is no concern. Vegito is extremely overconfident. He is whooping up on Buu with physical attacks and ki blast. He actually manages to reverse Majin Buu's giant pink ball and punt it right back at him in this episode. So even though Super Vegito was way too much for Buhan, even base Vegito before the 50 times multiplier, was just stomping this guy.
Yeah, it's very clear when Vegito first appears that the first few hits that Buhan lands on him, it's just Vegito says in the episode, I'm testing out this new body. Like, I gotta get warmed up here because this is the first time Goku and Vegeta have fused in the series.
Right.
And once he started testing out his new power, it was very, very evident as he continued to fight and improve and power up more. Base Vegito was way, way past anything Buhan was.
Do you think if we base it on the anime scaling, again, we have to remove the manga from the equation because this is an anime only sort of scene. Do you think that that it was even necessary for Vegito to even transform? I always feel like it wasn't even needed with the way he performed in this episode.
For the most part, I would agree that Vegito really did not need to transform if he just wanted to go for the killing blow right away. You know, I'm going to use an example for when he was Super Vegito, when he threw the tentacle at Buhan and then he just obliterated it with his hand immediately. I feel that base Vegito could have done that just as easily with Buhan if he really, really wanted to.
I agree.
The only point in that fight where it seemed like Vegito had to put in effort, even as a Super Saiyan, was when Buhan got extremely angry and he started letting out that massive vice shout that began tearing through the dimensional fabric. And Vegito says, if I don't stop this guy, he's going to wipe out possibly, you know, the whole universe or something like that. And you see in that scene, Super Vegito charges in and he's having difficulty penetrating through Majin Buu's defenses.
Right.
So that, in my opinion, that is the only point in the fight where Vegito would have had to use Super Saiyan to penetrate Majin Buu's defenses.
No, and I completely agree with you. It's interesting, though, because if you look at the anime version of the events, some would ask, well, why did Vegito even go Super Saiyan? And I feel like the reason was because I think because you have to remember, people forget this fact, and you have to remember this. Vegito could have taken out Buu anytime he wanted to, even as Super Vegito. We saw when he was in base form how he threw the air and sliced Buu's face with just the wind. That kind of power we had never seen before up to that point in the series. So I think the reason why Vegito even went Super Saiyan is because he wanted to entice Majin Buu to get desperate to absorb him. Because remember, the entire purpose that Vegito being in that fight was because he wanted to get absorbed by Majin Buu so that he could save Gohan, Goten, Trunks, and Piccolo from being inside of Buu. So I think him going Super Saiyan based on the anime version of the events actually does make sense. You know what I mean? I think it does make a lot of sense. Now, with that being said, I asked Chuck the Cybercuck what he thought, and he says he's going to make a video about it later on, but he talks about how, you know, in the Daizenshu, the universe is infinite, you know, infinite galaxies, which are, you know, infinite nebulas and solar systems and whatnot. And because of that, there's an infinite volume. So because of that feat, people have to understand that when Majin Buu was powering up, like you said, and penetrating and cracking the dimensional fabric, you know, we saw stuff like this later on in Super. We saw it during the Goku versus Beerus fight in Super, the Super version, and we saw it again in Dragon Ball Super Broly when they actually cracked the dimensional fabric and went to some kind of ulterior dimension. You know, very interesting scene there. So with that being said, the fact that Buu was able to collapse a living universe and Super Vegito was able to go in and just punch him out of it, you know, that should speak volumes for the power of Super Vegito. But again, regular Vegito in his base form wasn't even sweating him. I mean, there's so many scenes during that fight where he's just like smiling and laughing at him. And it was just, the entire fight was done to antagonize Buu into him being absorbed. And, you know, honestly, it's sort of like those things where even with Kid Buu, you know, Buuhan and Kid Buu, who's the strongest Buu? Well, the manga and anime differ on that. But even Kid Buu, right, was able to destroy the Supreme Kai planet, or the Grand Kai planet, right? That was, of course, only in the anime, which that is like multi-galaxy size, supposedly, because it's where kind of the afterworld sort of is, you know, and then the Supreme Kai planet, excuse me, is outside of the, of heaven. It's outside of the known galaxy. So Kid Buu having that kind of power is crazy. And we're not even talking about Buuhan here. You know, Buuhan in the anime anyways was implied to be not as strong based on what the narrator said, but in the manga he was stronger. So obviously, you know, there's a debate with that can go on forever. That's not why we're here. When it comes to base Vegito though, do you think base Vegito is the most powerful character in Dragon Ball Z? I think even without Super Saiyan, he is. Not including Battle of Gods, not including anything after the end of Z, like none of that, like, you know, no GT, just the original manga. I still think that even base Vegito is more powerful than any of the Boos and more powerful than Gohan.
Yeah, I would have to definitely agree with you on that. And again, just in the original Dragon Ball series, or Dragon Ball Z if you count the anime,
right?
I would definitely agree that Vegito was single-handedly the most powerful character in the series up until that point, not counting GT or the movies or anything like that.
Right. No, yeah, we're not counting that. Just up until like the original like manga, like he is without question. But I mean, base Vegito is even up there. Now, let's talk about base Vegito beyond. Let's talk about base Vegito beyond. Base Vegito in Dragon Ball Super. We only saw him for like a second in the Zamasu fight, so we can't really make any comparisons there. But thanks to V-Jump Magazine, and again, this is from V-Jump, it's not from Toriyama, it's from the Jump Magazine. They state that Gogeta is relative to Vegito in power. So, all we can do is base it on the power of Gogeta in Dragon Ball Super Broly. Unfortunately, we only saw base Gogeta for a very short time. With that being said, though, base Gogeta, I do not think could have beaten Broly in that film. I think he had to transform into gold and then blue in order to have a fighting shot because Broly was so freaking powerful. With that being said, though, does that mean that base Vegito can defeat Beerus or Jiren? And I think he cannot. I do not think he can do it. Honestly, I don't. I think he has to transform. I think we have to get Vegito blue to compete with these guys. I don't think base Vegito can do it. He might fight for a little bit, but as far as getting the win, I don't think so. How do you see it against Jiren, Beerus, and those level guys?
Yeah, I would also have to agree with you on that point, considering that Gogeta had to transform into Super Saiyan Blue when Broly went into full power, and Broly was hinted at by Goku. Again, Goku's word isn't really the most accurate here. He was compared to Beerus.
Right. At the end of the
And
movie.
yeah, and if we were to take that statement a lot more seriously, given that it's coming from Goku, that would scale Gogeta Blue close to Beerus. And if we're talking about Jiren, Jiren was stated multiple times to be higher than a god of destruction. I don't know if it was clarified if it was all the gods of destruction or his own.
They
But
never
if we're
said which ones, yeah.
yeah, so if Jiren is explicitly hinted and stated to be above the level of a god of destruction, even before he accesses full power form against MUI Goku, there is absolutely no way that base Vegito would stand a chance against Jiren, or even Beerus for that matter. I think he would have to transform into Super Saiyan Blue to stand a chance.
Now, do you think that if he puts out that much power, because the thing is, if one of the things that I always found weird was in the Gogeta scene in Broly, he's putting out a lot of power and he's not unfusing. And we've been told that if you put out too much power, you could shorten your time fusing. Now, that being said, you have to remember that time is relative. The Gogeta versus Broly fight could have been happening at several speeds beyond the speed of light. Several speeds beyond the speed of light. So what might seem like a 5-6 minute fight for us was probably like, 1 minute or less in the Dragon Ball verse, right? So with that being said, it makes me wonder if Vegito, I feel like with Beerus's knowledge of the Supreme Kai Potaras, I feel like he would be able to outlast him and just make him use all his power, and that would be it. However, Vegito Blue could probably, now again, we're talking about post-TOP Vegito Blue, not Trunks arc Vegito Blue. We're talking about Goku and Vegeta at a higher level. I think Beerus might be in trouble. I do think Vegito Blue, in fact, I think it was confirmed in V-Jump magazine that Vegito Blue would be able to beat Beerus, especially now. I think that now, after what happened to Goku and Vegeta in the Tournament of Power, it just changed everything, bro. The whole scale's been tipped, no pun intended. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially after watching the whole Tournament of Power and the number of transformations, Zenkais that both Goku and Vegeta have gotten throughout the whole tournament, not including UI in this example. It is so astronomical the amount of power boost they achieved in such a short amount of time. Because you got to remember, the Tournament of Power was, I think, 48 minutes.
Yeah.
Achieving that much power in that short amount of time, and the level of strength they achieved after the whole tournament was over. It's like base Goku and base Vegeta before the tournament even started compared to after. It's a monumentous difference.
Right.
So if we were to compare Vegito Blue's power from the Future Trunks arc to after the Tournament of Power, it is night and day difference.
I feel
in
like,
terms of strength.
Dude, I feel like Vegito Blue would one-shot Trunks Vegito Blue. Like, you know what I'm saying? I think Vegito Blue post-TOP would one-shot Vegito Blue from the Trunks arc. I really feel that way. I think he would massacre Zamasu. Obviously, Zamasu had that whole immortality hack going, but I think he would just blitz him without even thinking twice. It's a different level. So, okay, what were we going to say?
Oh, yeah, I was just going to add that with such a huge difference in power, Vegito Blue after the Tournament of Power could probably just blink Zamasu and just slice him in half with a Ki attack.
He could probably slice him in half and put the immortal half in the Mafuba in like 30 seconds, bro, or less. You know what I'm saying? Like Mafuba in, outdone. We're finished. It's that much power. So, any other thoughts, Red, before we close out the video, man?
No, I think that's pretty much it. I think it's such a how do I put this? It should not be underestimated, the base forms of fusions in Dragon Ball, because the thing with fusions is that, and we saw this with Kefla as well, just as another example, is that fusions, not only do they combine the power together, but they also multiply it tens of times over. So you don't, when it comes to fusions, you don't necessarily need transformations to be absolutely OP. And when it comes to Vegito's case and Gogeta, this is Goku and Vegeta's fusion we're talking about. So combine their base powers together, multiply it tens of times over and combined with their godly base forms, they would not be on the level of, you know, Beerus or Jiren, obviously, but it's still, they should not be underestimated by any means.
And the way that they're growing, Goku and Vegeta, at some point, base Vegito might be able to take on Jiren and Beerus. I mean, the Moral arc isn't even over as of the time of this recording, so with all the hacks and powers and, you know, teleportation and whatever Vegeta, like, dude, there's so many things that could make Vegito even more dangerous. So thank you, Rebel, for being here, and let us know in the comments if you think we missed anything. You know, any final thoughts before we get out of here?
Let's just hope we see Vegito again in the future of Dragon Ball Super, and let's hope he doesn't. Let's hope he gets a little bit more respect than he did in the Trunks arc, at least in my opinion.
Right.
Let's see.
He should have had more than one episode. I agree.
Yeah, let's see him with Vegito's spirit control, and maybe he can tap into UI Omen like Goku did.
Or maybe even silver-haired Vegito, which would be a monster. I mean, that's just can't even think about that. But I don't think we're gonna see Vegito again for a while. But who knows? Who knows? He's a popular character.
Well, as a Vegito fanboy myself, I can only hope so much, right?
Remember, he wasn't even supposed to be in this arc. Toriyama didn't even write him to be in the Trunks arc. That is, it was Toei and Toyotaro decided to put him in. So yeah, he's popular. Anyways, thank you, and leave a comment, subscribe, and if you like this video, check these out.